When I was 12 years old, my dad ran the Southampton half marathon. And I'd spent pretty much my entire life thinking, I wish I could do that, but I can't. See, I was never the sporty kid at school. You know, there's like those kids that are really good at sport at school, and then there's the ones who are like last to be picked for everything. Yeah, I was in the second camp. And so I'd had this belief my entire life that actually I can't run, I can't do things like that. And when I got to like my size and my weight and everything else, it was completely a no chance ever. And then in June of 2012, in fact, it was the same weekend that I first met Melissa, that some of you will know, that's been on this stage a couple of times. And that weekend, I met someone who was training for Ironman. And I didn't even know what Ironman was, right? So I'm like, okay, Ironman, what is Ironman? Well, yeah, you do a 2.4 mile swim, then you cycle for 112 miles, and then you run a marathon. What? Okay, how many days is this? No, it's all in one day, like, huh? And this girl looked normal. And it's like, well, if you can do that, maybe I can run a half marathon. Now, I knew they'd stopped doing the Southampton half marathon that my dad had run, but that was the event I really wanted to run, okay? So I went online and I'm using Google and things and trying to find out if there's another event nearby or if it was replaced by something or whatever. And I discovered that that event had been replaced by the Great South Run that takes place in Portsmouth now. And it's a 10-mile race, so I signed up for it. And I put on Facebook that I was going to do this thing and, that I was going to do it for a charity and all this kind of stuff. And I haven't even put a pair of trainers on. I haven't taken a step outside the house. So this great big declaration that I'm going to do this. I get up the next day, I put my trainers on. I go about half a mile and I think, what the hell have I done? I was out of breath. I was breathing like Darth Vader in Star Wars. Running with sweat like I just stepped out of the shower and thinking I really want to back down from this now, but I can't. So I started to train, a bit like we were talking about with Adam a minute ago, but I also started to picture myself in the race. So I'd go to bed every night and I would think about myself running that race. And I even got to the point of I was picturing what the time was going to be on the clock when I crossed the line. I was getting detailed with this. And I was making sure it didn't hurt to run it, and I was enjoying it and everything else. Now, I ran that race actually in aid of the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. And my cousin's son had been born with cystic fibrosis. My dad had run the Southampton half marathon for the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. And Adam's funeral, because Adam, my cousin's son, had sadly passed away when he was 18 from cystic fibrosis. At his funeral, it was the only time I've ever been in a church and heard Eminem. Right? And as I was running, on the actual day, as I was running for the finish line, suddenly my iPod's playing Eminem. The exact song. Now, of course, it was on my iPod, but my iPod's on shuffle, and the timing of it, I can see the finish line and the song comes on. And the emotion's starting inside of me like crazy here. And I started to feel like my dad was with me as well. And I'm looking at the clock, and it's within like a minute or so of the time that I've been predicting. Now, this is me. This is actually just before the race. Okay, so I didn't look this fresh as I was getting to the end, and ignore the time behind my head. But do I think something bigger was at play that day? Absolutely. Because do you want to know what time I finished in? 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 45 seconds. If 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was not some kind of message, I don't know what it was. I couldn't have planned that, I couldn't have predicted that if I'd tried.